Hi Blue Court! Me and Howard are actually getting ready to interview our psychologist, and so yeah, I'm just waiting for him to get off the train.
Grace!
Oh, here he is now.
Let me in, okay. I just took one of those DNA test things where you spit in a tube and then you find out like your ancestry and everything.
Yes.
Well, my hair's a mess. I just found out that I might be related to Sigmund Freud.
Oh, well that's so cool because we're about to go interview our psychologist!
He might be related to him too.
Is it like a commonality thing?
Maybe.
We'll see.
We're gonna find out! This is recording.
Okay, there. It is recording.
Dr. Sherman, hi. So go ahead and tell us your scope of practice. What do you do? Who do you see?
So I do a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and here in particular, the main jobs are neuropsych assessment and or neurobehavioral exams, which are quick in and out. Let's see how your brain's working. Do a report per mandate from the hospital, and then be around to talk,
Yeah.
either crisis therapy, family therapy, or whatever.
What specific populations do you work with here?
Well, let's see, here it's adult, and in my outpatient it's also adult. I don't work with adolescents or children. The services range. I mean, basically half of the work is trying to help the patients understand how their brain is working and or where there are deficits and how to cope with that. But we're all looking at how the person is functioning. Through my formal testing, which is probably the least functional daily life stuff, it's still a way for the patients to sort of have their eyes open in terms of, really, I can't subtract that well. Accountant, I should subtract that well, so it brings it back home in terms of something to process. And that's the other half of my work, is processing with them the change cognitively and or physically, as well as the stability in terms of really emotionally or their souls spiritually. You know, we generally hold on to our personhood, but our bodies do change.
Did you always want to work? So
With older adults or?
No, in fact, in Carbondale, the graduate program, I worked with kids and migrant kids, and teaching them emotions and that type of stuff, did behavior mod, and schools for developmentally disabled children and adolescents. It was sort of an easier transfer into Skid Row in terms of consequences, and we don't take our medication, we can't get our money, you know, those types of programs that was set up there. But I've always liked working with adults. This has been quite a fascinating experience because really here you do get all ages from basically 17 up to 99. And folks dealing with the processes and the changes that their bodies are going through. All through life we're dealing with changes, all the stages of life. So it's right in a microcosm centered around physical change, but it still touches the emotions and the character. So back in the day, you had to take both the written and the oral test. They eliminated the oral test because it was too biased.
Oh.
It was biased in favor of me, a white guy, when I didn't come up with the bottom line answer, and the examiners kept saying, and what else would you do? And what else would you do? And when I finally said, I checked for suicidality, they said, there you go, you pass. Right?
Huh.
Wow.
God bless them. God bless them. It was there in me, but it could have been flipped just the opposite if I were African American. Didn't answer it, done. So they eliminated that part.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's just a written test. And they've expanded the written tests into 2, and they've made them more complicated. It was bad enough when I took it. You had to know 5 major areas of psychology. Now they've added on ethics, they've added on God knows what else. You have to have your full year of pre-PhD clinical experience, much like you guys will be doing. And then after you get your PhD, you need another year in terms of postdoctoral experience, and must be signed off and monitored. 2 hours individual, 2 hours group, etc. Through the process. And then
Yeah, tell us more.
you have to make sure you put in all your paperwork properly, which much of the time it isn't, and the board says, too bad, sorry, come back next year. Or you do have to continue to renew every 2 years You have to take 36 units of continuing education, which ain't that bad. You
Yeah.
just have to go to conferences and listen and maybe take a quick little test, maybe. I believe everybody needs psychotherapy, so that doesn't hold. The romantic, dramatic populations do get attention, which is nice. It's more the, there's always a low-level focus on geriatrics, which is good, but it seems to be a little bit low level. What came to mind is actually that middle-aged, middle-class group of individuals out there that are doing just fine, and that's what they'll tell you. They're doing just fine, even though they're sort of squeezed between two generations and trying to figure out how to get mom up the stairs or off the toilet while they're trying to, deal with childcare and scheduling and that type of stuff. I mean, they're pulled both ways.
That's a really interesting point,
Yeah.
though, that the people that we think are doing just fine just need as much help.
Yeah.
Or if not more.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they kind of put it in the back burner.
They put it on the back burner. They're the ones taking care of everything, trying to go to work.
As long as they're functional, they think
Yeah.
they're okay.
Right,
Yeah.
until they drop dead from diabetes or
Right.
not taking their medication
Exactly.
or have a major meltdown. That's the group.
Yeah.
Do you collaborate a lot with OTs?
Here, yeah, I'm so fortunate to be here at the hospital.
What does that day-to-day look like with an OT in particular?
Well, a good day, I start in the morning meetings where all the staff or individuals from each discipline get together and talk about the patient's night and what happened and what are we looking at. There's a weekly meeting where everybody gets together too and makes broader plans. So I'm sitting there with OT, PT, speech, nursing, etc. So that's collaboration right there. They may turn to me and they may say, yeah, he refused to participate yesterday. Can you see him? You think there's an emotional thing going on? I may turn to them sometimes when everybody's saying, oh, there's an emotional thing going on, and I might say, great, but we're in a hospital, let's make sure we don't miss the physical thing. It's real easy as a caregiver or a staff member to say, oh, they're just not trying.
Yeah.
When in reality they might have a urinary tract infection or something like that. So occasionally I'll announce that although I am a psychologist, we have to make sure that we're looking at all the functional aspects here before we dismiss the patient per se. Anyway, doing that, when I can, I will go into the gym and observe or watch for a while. I mean, I can't do much. I'm a psychologist. I don't put hands on people.
Yeah.
But I'll push the wheelchair, if they need a second, break the rules and help shift the patient up if the nurse is there, and two people will work better than one.
Yeah.
Being around the patients while they're struggling with either fine motor skills or gross motor skills is really good for me when I talk with them bedside. Most of the time I'm seeing them in bed.
Yeah.
They're fine, everything's good, don't worry, I'm great, but no, I saw you trying to walk up that step and catch your foot. This is hard. How many steps do you have in your house? Oh, 13.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should talk about that. Maybe
Yeah.
we should do some planning. Not that other people don't, but when I'm there in the room with just them, in hopes of not being interrupted too much, they can open up a little bit more about the relationship, or I don't want to ask my wife, I have too much of a burden anyway, I don't know what to do, all the other issues that might come up, and then hopefully get addressed on one level or another. So bottom line is care about the patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to keep your boundaries,
Mhm.
right? If you take them home with you, you're not doing them good.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically or even on your shoulders emotionally. You have to keep your own boundaries. But when you're with the patient, listen to
Yeah.
them.
Alright everyone, this concludes our video. Dr. Sherman, shout out to you. You were awesome.
Wait, sorry, hold on. I just got a notification. My phone should have been up. I'm sorry.
Wait.
It's from the DNA testing place.
What did it say?
They mistook my DNA for Sigmund Freud. Turns out, I might be related to the daddy of OT, William Rush Dunton.
The daddy, do you mean the father of OT?
I wanna share your address.